Ah, shit. Alright guys, I know it seems like we're working backwards, and I guess technically we are. But ever since I did this bracket, I really don't like it. I don't like the way it looks. So I've been wanting to take that off and redo it. And so I need the engine out to be able to do that. But there's another reason why I need to redo this mount. So what I was going to work on next is the rear mount. So I went ahead and I got a Torque Solutions rear mount, because we already had the Torque Solutions front mount. And I figured since I'm getting the front and the rear, I might as well get the transmission mount too. But Torque Solutions does not make a mount for the 3G Eclipse. And that's what we set up that bracket for, is this 3G Eclipse mount. And if you remember, the 3G Eclipse is a little higher than the Evo. So in order to use this mount, we won't be able to use that bracket. It'll set the engine all kind of out of whack. So I'm gonna have to redo that bracket anyways. And then over here, Torque Solutions doesn't make a 420A engine side mount, which is what we're using on this. So I went ahead and I got the Prothane insert, because if you remember in the other video, I really don't like how squishy this is. So we'll have to take all this out, get that insert in. And here's the part numbers. That's the Evo trans mount. That's the DSM rear engine mount. And that's the Prothane 420A motor mount side insert. So that's what we're gonna work on next. I'm gonna cut that bracket off, redo it. All right, so I figured I'd start on this Prothane insert first. That way we can have this mount on the engine, and we can have this mount in there, and it'll hold the engine somewhere where it needs to be, so we can get an accurate measurement on where to put the transmission bracket. But I got most of the way through this, and the thought hit me like, well, maybe some people don't know how to put these inserts in. I should show it. So basically what I did is I used my jigsaw here. This whole thing only took me maybe 3 minutes to get here. I used my jigsaw here, and I used a long coarse blade like this to cut through the rubber to get the middle out of here, and then switch to a metal bit. And on this sleeve here, you want to make a relief cut, on both sides, but don't go all the way through, just really close. And then get a hammer and a chisel, hit the edge to bend them in like that, and then this will slide right out. And then at that point, this insert will just slide right in there. And you just put both sides in, and you get the pin, goes all the way through both, and then that's it. So that's how you do that. All right, and here's what we're left with. We got the bushing pushed in there with the rod and everything. Obviously I went ahead and painted it. I wanted it to at least try to match the Torque Solution mounts, look kind of good. And then I also went ahead and I shaved off all these little nubs. I shaved all that down. See how they stick out and stuff. So I went ahead and shaved all that down so it looks cleaner. Cut these big nubs off the sides and smoothed them out. So just so it'll look a little better in there. But got that done. Now we can work on the other bracket. Man, right about now I'm wishing I didn't weld that bracket on there so good. But got it off there. I got it all cleaned up and everything. I'm gonna have to go back and do some spot welding and doing some touch up on, you know, little spots like this and all this to get it all cleaned up. But we'll do that after I get these brackets in there. I put some tape on this so I don't scratch it up when I'm putting it in there. But I figured I should let you know, with these torque solution mount here, it doesn't come with any instructions. So to let you know how to install this, you need to pull the studs out of the transmission, and there's 4 of them obviously, and you have to use the hardware that they supply. Now to get these studs out, if you don't know how to get them out, just use the bolts that are on them, put one on backwards and then another one on top of it so that they have the flat sides together, tighten them up together really tight, and then put a wrench on this side and loosen it, and that will unscrew the stud out of there. So now let's get the engine back in there, get it set to where we want it, and then I can pull some measurements off for that bracket. Alright, I finally got everything level and plumb and straight, exactly where I want it. It's always such a pain to do that because you're trying to get it to sit right where you want it with nothing holding it where you want it. I mean, I got that one holding it, and then I got that side holding it, but still. Anyway, got it in. I got the mount in, got everything straight. So now I got a freaking rooster. I got to figure out what I'm gonna do here. Think about it, come up with a design of how I want to attach this to this. So this is kind of what I'm thinking here. You know, just something simple like that. You know, have it follow the curves of the frame rail, you know, on both sides, so it fits on there nicely. Get a nice weld on it, and I think it should be good. I think it'll look a lot better, a little cleaner. I went and got some, this is 1/2 inch steel, or a 1/4 inch steel, so pretty beefy. It's a lot thicker than factory, so it should be nice and solid. So we got our cardboard templates and our metal pieces. I got them cut out, I rounded off the edges and everything. Looking really good, so now we just got to get these welded in, and that should be good. Alright guys, I'm really liking the way this looks. Look at that. Oof. Nice. Just gotta get her welded on. All right, the engine is back in. Got that mount done, that mount done, and that mount done. Don't pay attention to those horrendous welds. We'll do a little cleanup when we do the shaving in here. I'll clean that up a little bit. So now we got to work on this back mount, and I showed you a little clip a second ago about this plate. That's the one I was talking about a few videos ago, that I needed that because that bolts to the transmission, and then it's gonna be hard to see, but the bracket bolts to 2 more holes there, and then that comes up and goes to the mount. I mean, you could do it without this plate and just build a bracket that goes to those 3 bolts that holds it on. Stop focusing on that. But it might be a little more difficult. I just figured with this plate it would be easier because there's only 2 bolt holes right there that you'd have to build something to. But I was kind of dreading this one. I thought this was going to be the hardest one, but it actually looks like it may be the easiest one, because all I have to do is make 2 pieces here that come out straight, and then a plate that bolts here and comes over, so maybe like a little L shape. So we'll see. I'll get my cardboard and we'll make out some kind of template, see what we're gonna do here. Well, this is not gonna be as easy as I thought. Here's what I'm coming up with. So I had to make a little jog in there because this side comes out right at that bolt. If I can get you down in here. So it comes out right to this bolt, so I had to jog it over a little bit to get around that. I made sure to make this bend far enough away so the whole length of this bolt will fit in here, and I also put this back far enough so a box end on a wrench will fit around it. You know, just the kind of things that engineers don't think of when they're designing cars. Make it easier. But everything's lining up, looking good, so I think this is what I'm going to go with. All right, got her all tacked up, all the pieces made, everything tacked up, and this one took a lot longer than it should have. I did it just like I did that front cross member, where I made a cut here, I bent it over, came down, made a cut on here, bent it over, so this whole thing is one piece. Instead of cutting it into 3 pieces and welding it all together. Thought it'd be a little stronger, but it took forever. But got it tacked together. It looks like garbage because I couldn't actually see down in there with the welder, so I was just kind of guessing where it was. But we'll get it all cleaned up and get everything welded together, and that should be it for that bracket. All right, there she is, all welded up. Doesn't look the greatest. I couldn't get the grinder down in here in these tight spots to grind it down nice and smooth, so it is what it is. The outside where I could get the grinder is all real nice looking, but it's in the back. You'll probably never see it anyways, but it's still pretty dang hot, so I'm gonna let it cool off and then I'll get it painted. All right, and there she is, all painted up. Doesn't look too bad with some paint on her. Let's see how she looks in the car. Man, that looks good. That looks OEM, right? Like it came from the factory. It's supposed to be like that. Yeah, looks good though. Yeah, so that one's done. And we got that one done. And we got that one done. And we got that one done. That is all 4 motor mounts done. So technically the engine is installed. You know? Not really, but you know, sometimes you gotta lie to yourself to keep motivated and keep pushing forward. But I guess it's technically not really a lie because it is installed. Everything else is just hooking everything up to the engine. So yeah, pretty good progress on this one. So the next video will be installing that bad boy, figuring out the drive shaft, getting that cut down to what we need. So that should be an exciting one. So thanks for tuning in and checking out this video. I'll catch you on the next one.